It's been a month with the Nintendo Switch 2 and I think it's finally time to drop the rose-tinted glasses. In today's video I'm spilling the tea on what's actually like to live with this thing for a month. No sponsorships, no fluff, just the brutal truth. We're talking battery weirdness, bare bones game selection, Nintendo's unique business strategies and even some features that'll make you scratch your head. If you're thinking about buying or even just want some entertainment, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Alright, confession time. I'm one of those people who has battery anxiety. Like, if my phone or console dips below 50%, I start to get twitchy. So imagine my surprise with the Switch 2's battery. When I fired up Cyberpunk 2077 or Monster Hunter Rise, the battery percentage felt like it was melting away. I was literally watching the numbers drop minute by minute. Panic mode, right? But here's the kicker. When it hit 1%, I thought, okay, time to wrap it up. Nope. I played another boss fight, then a side quest. 10 minutes later, I'm still going strong. It's like Switch 2 suddenly gets stage fright at 1% and refuses to shut down. Honestly, it's almost impressive, but also super confusing. Am I about to lose my progress? Or do I have a secret extra life? Let me know if you had the same 1% limbo experience or if my Switch is just feeling dramatic. Naturally, I had to see if there was a fix because I like my battery percentage to actually mean something. Turns out there's a workaround and it's not exactly user-friendly. You have to drain your Switch 2 completely, I mean play until it literally turns off, then you leave it off for a little bit, plug it in and charge it all the way back up to 100% in one go. This supposedly recalibrates the battery and teaches the console to be a little more honest about how much juice is left. Is this a perfect fix? Not really. Will it help? Sort of. But hey, it's better than constantly living in the fear of the 1% zone. And if you try this out, let me know in the comments if it makes your battery more predictable or if your Switch just laughs at you and goes back to being weird. Let's talk about the library, because if you're anything like me, you want new games, right? Except, it feels like I bought a brand new console just to replay my old backlog. Don't get me wrong, Breath of the Wild is a classic, Tears of the Kingdom is great, but they're the same games, just with slightly shinier graphics if you purchase the Switch 2 versions. Outside of Nintendo's own releases, which are few and far between, there's really not much else going on. Where are the killer apps? Where's the third-party support we were all hoping for? I scrolled through the eShop like a kid in an empty candy store. Cyberpunk 2077? I mean, let's be real, most of us finished that game at least once before it even came to Switch 2. It kinda makes you question what you're actually paying for. Let me know in the comments if you found a hidden gem, because so far my Switch 2 library is looking more nostalgic than next gen. Now here's something that sounded cool on paper. Mouse controls with the Joy-Cons. I was excited to try it, thinking it would be a total game changer for shooters. And to be fair, it does make aiming less painful. For the first 5 minutes, I felt like a pro. Then my hands started cramping up, my thumbs were contorted in ways nature never intended, and I had to take a break just to shake it out. It's one of those features that you want to like, you really do, but after 10 minutes, you're dreaming of a good old-fashioned mouse and keyboard. Or honestly, just a controller that doesn't make your hands feel like you've been doing finger yoga. Still, props to Nintendo for trying something different. I just wish it was a little less painful. Alright, time for the rant portion. Let's talk money. Nintendo, you're charging top dollar for this console, and what do we get? No grip, no case, no screen protector, just the console and a couple of Joy-Cons, and if you want the full experience, get ready to open your wallet again and again. Meanwhile, the Steam Deck gives you a case right in the box for less money. Oh, and that's not all. There are paid add-ons like the World Tour game, expensive Joy-Cons, and other accessories, you basically need to make the most out of your console. It's like Nintendo is daring us to see how much we'll put up with. The phrase nickel and diming doesn't even begin to cover it. Let's just say, if you're saving up for the Switch 2, make sure to budget for accessories or get comfortable with feeling like you're missing out. Now here's something that almost nobody talks about, but it's a huge deal for somebody with family or roommates. You buy a game digitally on the eShop, and then you try to play it on a second Switch at the same time. Nope, Nintendo makes this almost impossible. It feels like Nintendo is actively trying to stop you from sharing your own games. I get it, they want to sell more copies, but as a player it feels, well, greedy. Especially when other platforms are way more flexible with sharing digital purchases. If you've ever been burned by this, drop your story in the comments. Let's see how many people Nintendo has frustrated with this policy. Okay, here's something I have a theory about. Game key cards. On the surface, they look like regular cartridges. But pop one in and surprise, it's basically just a digital license. The game itself isn't even on the cartridge. You have to download the full game, and then every time you want to play, you need to stick that card in as proof. Why? Because Nintendo wants to test if you'll eventually get tired and just buy digital. I can't shake the feeling that Nintendo is slowly pushing us towards an all-digital future, but in the most roundabout, inconvenient way possible. At this point, you're better off with the download code. At least you don't have to keep track of a tiny piece of plastic. If you're a collector, I want to know, do you see these key cards as a real physical games, or is this just a scam with extra steps? Look, I know the Switch 2 is more advanced. Bigger screen, more power, better graphics. I'm not expecting miracles here. But battery life? It's a mixed bag. If you mostly play at home, plugged in, you'll probably never notice. But the minute you try to take the Switch 2 out into the world, good luck. That battery starts dropping fast. Especially with demanding games. I keep a charger in my bag at all times just in case. With the original Switch, I never really worried, but with Switch 2 I find myself constantly checking the percentage, planning my playtime around when I'll be near an outlet. Is it a deal breaker? Not if you plan for it, but if you travel a lot or use your Switch as your portable gaming buddy, you might find yourself wishing for the good old days of Switch 1. Speaking of travel, let's talk about portability. The Switch 2 is bigger, there's no denying it. That's great for playing on the couch, but not so great if you're heading out. So I did a little experiment, tried carrying the Switch 2 through an airport in one of my trips, pulling it out of my bag, putting it back in, juggling the chargers and the cases. It's just clunky. The screen feels vulnerable, so you need a case and a screen protector. And as we covered earlier, Nintendo doesn't include either in the box. The original Switch just slips into the back and goes anywhere. The Switch 2 is more like traveling with a mini laptop. So if portability matters to you, be ready for a few new headaches. Alright, let's wrap it up. After a full month, the Switch 2 is definitely a step forward in some ways, but it's not a slam dunk. If you're looking for an all-day battery and a classic portable Switch experience, the original still does it best. If you're hoping for a flood of new must-play games, you might want to wait a bit. And if you're not a fan of buying expensive accessories just to get the basics, maybe hang on to your money for now. For me, the Switch 2 is a wait and see. I'll be keeping mine, hoping for new games and some firmware updates, but for now, it's not the revolution I was hoping for. Now it's your turn. Have you found any secret tricks, weird bugs, or games worth checking out on the Switch too? Did you get burned by the battery or the game sharing policies? Drop your stories in the comments, I read each comment, and who knows, your tip might make it into the next video.